find it first, but here I am. 'Cause I've been laying under palm trees, waiting for the summer, knowing there's nowhere to go. 'Cause I am happy on this island, wanna be my farmland. I don't ever want to leave, I'm in a tropic club. and I can see my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Feel like a dynamite, ready to explode right up in the sky. I need you to listen, I need you to hear, and don't show any fear. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul.
Take me in small, breathe me in and let me go. Filling the lungs inside you, and the blackened eyes make my way into your mind. Just to know what you knew. Restless every time we start locking eyes. Lost control. Oh, it's paradise with honesty, but I'm in the dead of the night. Let the darkness take control. Let the darkness take control. Darkness take control. May the darkness take control. Take me in small, breathe me in and let me go. Sink to your heart to find you. Open up your eyes till you're blinded by the lies, so you can see what you do. Restless every time we
Hello everybody and welcome back to the snooker action. Now we're going to be here in Wales for the fourth and the last Home Nations tournament this season, and this time around it is going to be the Welsh Open, very much the home tournament for the likes of Jackson Page and Mark Williams that are through to round 3. But let's find out which one of the youngsters, if you can use that term towards the world champion, is going to be through to play either David Gilbert or Stuart Bingham. It is now Zhao and Stan Moody to go with a handshake. So there was a bit of a delay getting players into the arena. So hopefully that's going to be the last delay that we'll witness here on the main table. There we go. Now we've got the television sorted, we've got the screen sorted, and Zhao, well, he doesn't need to get himself sorted. By the way, before the start, massive shout out to John Higgins and Zhao for actually playing in this tournament. You know, Higgins is through to round 2, he's going to play later tonight, but the fact that both of these players had a really good final in the Players' Championship in Telford at the end of the night on Sunday, and both of them were playing. Zhao on Tuesday afternoon in the first round, for him to get through Fang Jingyi certainly was very impressive. So yeah, massive appreciation has to go on John Higgins and especially Zhao because he was the one playing earlier than Higgins, and of course he was and is now the reigning Players' Championship. And now then, back to the action. Stan Moody has just played his first shot and leaving a chance away for Zhao. Let's have a look. So there seems to be a bit of a delay as both of the players have now taken their seats. Of course, something that happens sometimes in the first couple of rounds. You know, it's not quite, we're down to the one table format. We still have 4 of those matches going on. As far as I'm aware, we've got the likes of Gary Wilson, Jaganda, and as I mentioned, David Gilbert and Stuart Bingham playing against each other. The likes of Sam Craig and Liam Pullen I'm going to be mentioning in there as well. And yeah, the thing about Liam Pullen has to be mentioned, of course, a massive shout out for him to be doing a bit of a charity work there and visiting a special place in Wales just before his campaign started against Chris Wakelin. And still, it looks like it is going to be a very interesting performance from him, as, you know, Chris Wakelin was actually the player speaking very highly of the likes of Anthony Kowalski, Liam Pullen and Julian Boyko before. It felt like it was the Masters at that point. So let's see. Still no chance of you know, us getting through to there. Still a bit of a delay. So let's see if it is now going to be. Stan Moody very much up and rising. Doesn't seem to be the case for now, as we are going to be actually playing on the main table here, but it does look like it's going to be table number 2 at the same time. So yeah, it does look like all the other tables are underway, apart from ours, which is a bit of a weird thing, as I say, with the world champion and the world number 48 playing. But I suppose it's just something that you have to try and get through. And yeah, just a little bit of a heads up, it is going to be a different format tomorrow because it's going to be last 16 and already have certainly got 2 matches prepared. So it's going to be Mark Williams against Barry Hawkins. As I say, the first time that we're going to see, well, watching a match of Stan Moody on YouTube, and then we're going to be doing the same for another man from England, Barry Hawkins, before we move on to the Welsh versus Australia match. It is going to be Jack Jones against the former winner of the Whole Nation Series last season. It was, of course, Neil Robertson. They became their English Open champion. So now still no real sign of us getting underway. So, as I say, a bit of a weird thing there because we were very slow to get the players into the arena. And now after playing a couple of shots from Zhao, it does look like we're waiting for something from the referee. And still no idea what it can be. And as I said, before the matches have started, I did have a look at the WSD app and nothing seems to have been working on there either. So just one of those things. But as I say, I mean, it's a weird one because all the, you know, the remaining 3 tables are very much underway, as if, you know, nothing seems to be broken or not working properly. So now referee having a chat to the cameraman. Let's have a listen. Yeah, it's about as far away from the camera as it possibly can be, but it looks like it's just pointing to the screens there. to the referee. Now he's going to have a look. As I say, still absolutely no idea. Let's have a look on if we're going to be seeing anything on the main page on social media. Right now, doesn't seem to be that way. So, nope, seems like it is going to be all back to normal. Just a bit of preview, Zhao versus Stan Moody. Referee still just about as far away from the bulk line as he possibly can be, just talking to the cameraman still on the left-hand side. Trying to listen, but as I say, no chance of catching that one. As far away from the microphones as possibly can be. So apologies for that. Not a lot you can do. You know, as I said, it wasn't... the match has started. The players were in the arena. A couple of shots had been played. One by Zhao, one by Stan Moody. And then the play was stopped on the main table here. So I suppose let's just get through the net then and the draw whilst we've got absolutely nothing going on. And yeah, if you talk about the upsets, I'm not sure if you're going to count that, but Zhao lost out to Jack Lisowski today in a very interesting decider where Zhao was leading, yet unable to get himself over the line, and that cost him quite dearly to lose out to former Home Nations winner this season. That so far, since then, has really been struggling for form. And of course, Sean Murphy in that incredible and what he described as probably the best performance he's ever seen in the best of 7 match against Zhang Minyu, 4 century breaks and only 1 point from Murphy that he scored, alongside 500 of those scored by the former finalist of the Scottish Open this season. That seems like he has lost out to Jackson Page, and he decided, yes, he has. So Chang has found himself on the receiving end of things there. And another thing, by the way, it looks like apart from Joey Long, Mark Cullen has guaranteed himself to be the winner of the 150,000 Whole Nations bonus, because you can see that Chris Wakely is eliminated, Jack Lisowski is eliminated, Judd Trump, Chang Minyu, Mark Selby, all of them are eliminated. So the likes of the players that if they would have won without Alan scoring any of those ranking points, which of course he wouldn't, because of his opening round loss to David Grace, then it would be Alan to be very much at the top of the Whole Nation series, which means that he gets 150,000 worth of prize money for a bonus. And there we go, we're finally going to be on the way, and straight away, it was an attacking shot from Stan Moody that doesn't look like it's going to pay off. So now, back to the action we go, and back to Zhao we go as well, because it looked like one of those shots that you don't really have to play, but probably, you know, it's the perfect chance for you to try and get that red in. And if it does go in, then you get yourself a potential ticket to a very comfortable performance here in the night. Instead, it is going to be a very favourable kiss from Zhao that had that red pretty much over the pocket. So it's now the Cyclone that gets himself started. Still, as I say, absolutely no clue on what was going on there. But hopefully won't have to go back to that issue ever again today. And yeah, just a quick breakdown on this position though. It does look like we're going to have a great chance here for Zhao to score something like 20-30 points. I feel like, you know, probably going to be asking a bit too much of him to try and win the frame from here. And straight away, he's probably doing himself more of a problem than a favour. He has got a red into the left middle, but he did have an unwanted cannon on one of those reds, pushed it right across and onto the black ball cushion. So you can try and take the second red away from the black, but it's a very difficult cut that he's taking on, and he's missed it by so much, he didn't even leave that red anywhere near the pocket. So any player can win. It's a fair comment because, as I say, it's the first of 4 and it's only the second round. We've already seen some huge upsets. The top 16 players flying away there. Of course, we didn't have Ronnie O'Sullivan or Judd Trump to compete when the tournament started. We had the world number 2, the world number 3, the world number 4 and the world number 5. They're all still in the equation. Robertson is now through to round 3, as well as Williams. And the likes of John Higgins and Karen Wilson are still going to be battling away to try and get themselves sorted into round 3. But for now, it's a brilliant pot there by Stan Moody. It's a very difficult angle for him to try and cue this on well, but judge the pace of the cue ball to perfection as well. Now getting low on the white will certainly help him to try and get that one across the table. And, ooh, I mean, he's played a horrible shot there. I don't really understand what either Zhao Xington or Stan Moody were doing there on the first shots after the blue. But it seems like it's a complete deja vu. And, well, I mean, all you had to do is either hold that cue ball a bit more or hold it a bit, well, less there, really, because he had red pretty much close to the left corner. Instead, he hasn't played it at all. And now it is going to be Zhao Xington to come back to the table. So 6 points scored by the two players. You know, both of them had probably equally as good of a chance to try and get themselves, you know, significant advantage on the score sheet. Instead, that's not going to be the case. And Zhao Xington is going to get the safety battle on the way now. Just trying to get really thin on the edge of one of those reds. Get it across to the right corner. Manages to hold the cue ball pretty well. Gets it in behind of the yellow and brown combination. And despite him leaving out a couple of those reds, I feel like he just about got enough power on the cue ball for those shots not to be considered from Stan Moody's point of view. But yeah, it's the first meeting in between the two players, which of course can easily be explained by the age. And, you know, 28 for Zhao Xington. Had a couple of years, but he didn't really play on the main tour. And those really were the years of the breakthrough of Stan Moody. And before the ban of Zhao Xington, there was nothing really that you would have heard about Stan. And, well, we may not hear about him for the remainder of the first frame here, because I said it was a really good shot that Zhao Xington has played. I didn't think it was this good, because now it looks like he's going to be right in the monster reds. And especially if he takes this one into the left corner, he should have a great opportunity to try and get himself sorted with a high value break. And from that point onwards, you know, the black is possible into the left corner. He's trying to go for a more difficult red, which is very Zhao Xington-like, but he needs to make sure this goes in, otherwise it'll be a waste of an opportunity. It does go in. He's perfectly on the pink, and you know what it is to say about it. When it pays off, you just have to say it was worth the risk and it was worth the gamble, because he manages to get himself sorted on 3 of those points. You know, the blue was out of position, which may just take a bit of the sting away out of trying to take a positional shot on the blue. Instead, he was able to play a really nice stun shot of the other red, gets himself perfectly on the pink. The pink spot is now going to be vacant of any one of those reds, and he's still going to have the black very much available to be taken into the left, and now, as it turns out, into the right corner pocket as well. So I feel like this is going to be, once again, a very quick match. And it is going to be the lesser of the 2 mistakes that we're going to see there. So far, we've seen 1 from Zhao Xington. And we've already seen 2 from Stan Moody's point of view. And usually, I have to say, I mean, I'm not sure about the second round. But I'll tell you what, John Higgins will tell you that for free. You know, in the final, 2 mistakes in a frame was a bit too much there for Zhao Xington's liking. And he was always very eager to try and punish his opponent if that was the case. So now going to be 16 points as the advantage for Zhao Xington. So just try and take the blue, make sure he's going to go back on his spot, get himself to, well, get the cue ball really to run a bit further down the table, and now get himself lined up. Even the minor angle on the red will help, just as long as he's not going to be playing away from the blue, which he hasn't really managed to achieve. So he needs to hold this one back and make the blue disappear into the same pocket as the red. He manages to do so pretty well. Once again, judges the spin of the cue ball quite nicely. And yeah, all of a sudden, I mean, once again, you have to go back to the, well, 2 shots really, because the shot that Stan Moody has played was a bit of a horrific one, because he managed to get a couple of those reds to be away from each other, but also, you know, can't really control that from Xington's point of view. But what he certainly could control was the brilliant shot that he's played straight away with a fantastic introduction to try and roll the red, just as he tries to do the same thing with the pink here into the left corner. Now he's going to get himself lined up for another red to be taken into the right corner. Should just try and play this one through the side cushion and get that cue ball to bounce away just about far enough. So it's going to get closer and basically in between the pink and the black for him to choose from. And I feel like he actually has got a bit of a point here to be made about the pink, because he's got pretty much the entire middle pocket to aim at. The angle is not really going to do a lot of damage to him. And the way that he's got the cue ball set up, he should be able to play this shot through the pink, which is exactly what he's done. But, you know, you could probably say the same thing about the black. But he was Probably just the lack of pace that he had the ability to try and play that shot. And on the black, of course, he would have tried to force it onto the cushion and give that cue ball a massive bounce. Instead, he takes the second red away and follows with the black into the same pocket. So now he's managed to get through the easy reds here with a break of 49 points, which, you know, as I say, especially after that introduction, still has to be considered pretty impressive. Now he's about to take onto the more dangerous reds, and this is where it's going to be the last piece of hope there for Stan Moody, because he's now going to be 50 points down with 67 at the table, so he needs this mistake to happen now, otherwise he'll be out of this frame. And there seems to be a minor mistake that has occurred, because Zhao is going to be on the top side of the black, which probably forces him to try and do something with those reds onto the left side cushion, and wanted a bit lesser of a bounce there. Wanted to keep that cue ball as close to that side cushion as he possibly could because of the lack of distance in between those reds and the left side cushion itself. So then, it's 57 points of advantage, so it's a red and a colour, as long as it's not going to be, well, even if it is going to be a yellow, basically a red and a colour now, and it is going to be Zhao frame for the taking. Brilliantly taken there with the red, make no mistake about it. It was quite difficult angle there, you know, he's left himself with, and still had the cue ball pretty close to the left side. Now getting himself lined up on the brown or green to choose from, and should be bringing that cue ball down the lower part of the table again. And by the way, 160 people watching in the first frame of the, you know, last 32. Massive thank you to all of you, and yeah, certainly by far the best numbers that we were getting onto the second round, especially for the whole nation series. It's only going to be first to four, but we've already been entertained to a great break by Zhao. That doesn't seem to end for now, because he's played a wonderful green, got that cue ball to bounce off both of the right and left side cushions, and now Stan Moody clearly realising that he's not going to be coming back to the table in this frame. And once again, a similar story to the thing that we've seen against Fang Jingyi yesterday, where it was Zhao to take the opening frame. Then Fang managed to get himself back into, well, all square. Zhao took two comfortable frames away, got himself a lead of 3 frames to 1. Fang Jingyi managed to have a century break of his own on his way to leveling things up and making it 3 frames each. Had a chance in the decider as well, but in the end, he wasn't really able to get anything out of that chance. And he was the Welsh champion that basically made the table disappear, certainly all the balls on it. And you can see average shot time when on the break, 15 seconds, especially if you talk about how difficult the position was when he first stepped to that table. Certainly has been very impressive ever since, and still with a chance. I mean, this is going to be some sort of a headline for the media if he makes a century break out of this. On the first frame as well, he's playing the snooker of his life, and you know, it's not like he hasn't become a world champion last season. Rolls that red in as well, along the black cushion, probably the most difficult location of the red that he could have been, despite being, well, if you don't count and you don't take the side cushions into the equation. Now then, he tried to take the black into the left corner. As I said, it was a very different angle, and in the end, it is going to be the break of 83 points, which is still going to be more than good enough for Zhao to be taking this one away from Stan Moody. It is now World Champion 1, Stan Moody 0, as we go into the second frame. Quick start, probably there quicker than all the preparation that we had for this match to actually get underway. And by the way, on the other tables, Gary Wilson lost out the opening frame to Sam Craig, who now leads by 1 frame to 0. Stuart Bingham is on his way to winning the first frame against David Gilbert, and he's managed to do that now, as Gilbert is going to concede. And yeah, as I say, we could still potentially be lined up with Bingham against Zington, but I feel like if it's going to be the evening session, unfortunately that's not going to be covered on this channel, but we'll certainly be back if Zhao is to get himself lined up into the quarter-final appearance instead. Let's have a look at the draw. So what we've got scheduled, as I say, Mark Williams against Barry Hawkins in the afternoon session. Then Jack Jones against Neil Robertson very much straight after that match. And then we're going to have likes of Karen Wilson waiting, Jackson Page, Jack Lasowski, another very interesting match there as well. So we do have a great setup for the last 16. As I say, not too many of those players of the top seeded ones have been eliminated already, and we still wait for a potential Wilson derby there with Gary Wilson and Kyron Wilson yet to complete their matches. Janganda against John Higgins is another top-seeded lineup which we could see in the last 16. And in the meantime, we're still going to be watching at least 3 more frames of the action in between Stan Moody and Zhao Xington here. So just looking at Zhao Xington, seems to be calm once again, no reason not to be. And very surprising stat that I was looking at the Players' Championship actually, because, you know, obviously he has Zhao Xington as by far the best player coming into this Welsh Open. You know, you obviously had the winner of the Welsh last season where he was Mark, so I feel like it was against Steve Maguire that he was playing. Managed to win that one 9-6 after Maguire and Selby dispatched Luca Brissell and someone that I can't quite remember in the semis. And yeah, I mean, if you don't take the fact that Zhao Xington has been struggling massively into the Home Nation Series this season, as far as I'm aware, once again, he's got around 1 or 2 wins this season when it comes to those tournaments, because the English Open campaign started absolutely in a horrible way for him. You know, I felt like he didn't manage to get himself through the first round of the last 30. Well, he had 4-0 against Ishbitz and Chana, but of course, losing out in the second round to Jack Lisowski didn't really help. And then Lisowski himself didn't get too far into the last 16. And, yeah, of course, lost out to Aaron Hill. But if you talk about the Northern Ireland Open, we're now about to get the second frame started as well. Stan Moody is going to be there with a break-off. So gives the turn back to Zhao Xington. And look at that. I mean, you can barely talk about this man, and he's absolutely on fire. I tell you what, the world better be watching out, because Zhao Xington, if you play shots like that, I mean, forget about the Crucible records. Stephen Hendrick might be worried right now, because this is unstoppable there with a brilliant long shot that he's taken. And now look at this blue as well, that he's managed to roll into the right middle. Ooh, I mean, I'd say he's played a really good blue. He may have to play a safety shot, so maybe just a bit too much of a complimentary work there from me. I'm going to have to take a step backwards on that, but as I say, the first 2 shots have been absolutely brilliant, and Stan Moody is yet to score his first point. By the way, hi everybody, hi Letitia, thank you very much for joining in on the second round. And as I say, if you're tuning in a little bit late, we're going to have Mark Williams against Barry Hawkins, and then the match straight after is going to be Jack Jones against Neil Robertson on that same stream. Just going to change the thumbnail, the description, and the scoreboard, and in 3 minutes' time, we should have the second match very much underway. And then, as I say, quarterfinals, semi-finals, before we're going to be entering the last 2 sessions of the final as well, and have a bit of a break before the World Open. Going to see Ronnie O'Sullivan potentially to be playing against Rus Moir in their first round of qualifying. And then you never quite know. As I say, we've had so many different winners of the ranking events. Not quite all the different ones. Hello, my people. Not sure why it wouldn't be translating there, because I did have... let me just check that, because it should be translating in the chats there. I did have a test of that previously, and... who's disconnected? Let's watch the score. Yeah, you can see that. So I don't know why it wouldn't show on the pop-out chat that I've got, but I may have to just go back to the translation, which is not ideal, to be fair. So let's have a look at that. And in the meantime, Zhao Xington has found another brilliant red. You could see that just about caught there with a brilliant way to get past the blue and drill that red into the right corner. And it is now going to be another chance of a break here for Zhao Xington, and it looks like it is rather going to be a short break, because that's the reason why I was looking at the blue and the pink combination. Of course, I thought that, you know, 1-0 up, first to 4, may have taken the blue on, but with no clear-cut reds for him to be playing there, wasn't really a chance worth taking on. But once again, Stan Moody, I mean, he's had a bit of a quiet season, this one. I mean, he had a breakthrough onto the arena last year, but, you know, obviously looking at to try and win. Not kidding this spot, 76 for Zhao again. I know he's in the main man, but Welsh Open, yeah, I mean, absolutely. I feel like that was a weird one, and it's a good spot, Letitia, because that's exactly what I was thinking. On purpose, I put him last down the list, like on purpose, because I knew as soon as people were going to see Zhao Xington, they were going to be like, yes, absolutely, let's press that button. But I mean, I'm going to go for Williams as well. I don't know, 74%. I mean, I know he's playing well, but come on. It's a home nation series for a reason. I mean, they've taken out $1 million prize if you win all 4 tournaments for a reason there. And also, we didn't have a winner more than once since 2016. We had the likes of Joe Perry, Robert Milkins, Guy Wilson, you know, obviously Mark Selby last year, Neil Robertson, John Higgins, Ronnie O'Sullivan in 2016. We didn't have one of these players to win this tournament twice. And I know Zhao Xington is not on that list, but neither is Mark Williams. So, you know, give the guy a little bit of a break. And yeah, shout out to Letitia seeing the funny side of it, because that's exactly what I was thinking about it. But, you know, the reason why I go with Williams is obviously there's a bit of a, you know, flair with it, him being the Welsh. But also, I just feel like I've seen his first 2 opening round matches, and I always feel like with top seeded players, every single first round or second round match that you go through boosts your chances massively. Don't worry about the position here though, because Stan Moody seems to get himself in a bit of trouble, so you're just thinking about which shot to choose from to player safety. He needs to make sure he does it better than in the previous frame, what led to a break of 83 points for Zhao Xington. Almost a minute now, so let's focus and see what he's going to be doing here. Similar and nearly the calamity of the previous frame. Hand of apology is going to go up because he got a double kiss on one of those reds, but the way he caught it really thin, he's still guiding the cue ball onto the top part of the table. We will see. Well, if you win again, of course, but I'd rather someone else. Yeah, I mean, like, the thing about Zhao Xington is he's now won 2 ranking tournaments in a row, and before the World Grand Prix, let me just say it, no chance that I, or, you know, majority of the snooker fans would have put him anywhere near to be the favourite for the World Grand Prix, and now all of a sudden, you know, he's going to be a massive favourite for him to be taking the Welsh Open crown. Of course, he'll be, as far as I'm aware, the first home nation series win, and therefore the first final, because he managed to do it in the UK before, in Sheffield and in the UK Championship. Now seems like he's going to have a first mistake here. Stan Moody has got a pretty straight a pretty straight red that he should try and take into the left corner, but still needs to cue this one well, and he's certainly going to do that. Brilliant shot there, just about the right side of the blue, which is going to be absolutely perfect. Look at that, bit of topspin. Brilliant acceleration on the cue ball off the cushion of both the black and the side. And yeah, I feel like I am going to have a bit of a soft spot for either one of the top seeded apart from Zhao Xington, because as I say, I want to see him in the final, but you know, when he's made 2 finals in a row and he's managed to win both of them, you do want a bit of variety so that it doesn't get too one-sided. As much as, you know, Stephen Hendry said, you need a domination. I don't feel like we need a domination of one player winning every single tournament there. Up to this stage for now, maybe we will, but I do actually have a great feeling that Zhao Xington and, you know, well, especially Zhao Xington, let's just talk about him, he's certainly going to be the saviour of snooker for the next couple of years. Now then, let's focus on Stan Moody though, because, you know, the thing about first to 4 matches is that you think you're 1-0 down and you're very much with a massive disadvantage, but it only takes 1 frame for you to try and potentially turn this around, and the way to turn it around against Zhao Xington is very much to try and use his own toolbox and playing the style of a game that he does, although Stan Moody doesn't really have a good reaction here. May have blocked the cue ball to be seeing all the reds on the right hand side with the pink coming back on his spot. Looks like it is going to be in the way there. Kevin Dubrovsky, very much the referee that has officiated the final, as far as I'm aware, in the Players' Championship. Let's see if Stan just about he can get through to this red. Needs a rest shot though, and also he needs a very good control of the cue ball. I probably have to say he needs to concentrate on this one more than the actual pot. And yeah, for me, there's no surprise that he's refused that shot. You know, he's going to be going for the left corner instead. You know, probably having to bridge over the pink slightly or compromising himself on the passing angle and adding a bit of a forced spin there which is going to go for option 2. So just trying to get his cue across the paint gun. Ooh, this is quite a nasty cut there. But he manages to take it really well. Not quite as well that he's going to be on the right side of the blue. But still, just about in the pink. Should have the ability to try and hold the cue ball back. Take the same red into the left corner. Although he needs to be careful here with his pink. Just not to play this one with too much power. And what did I say? Don't play with too much power. But to be fair, I mean, it probably was a bit of a mistake waiting to happen. This position was way too difficult for Stan Moody to be flying through those reds. And after playing a couple of really good shots, it is going to be the end there on scoring 14 points. And I'm not going to say he's done all the hard work because, you know, some of, and probably majority of those reds are still going to be in a very bad position. Zhao though, only finds himself 6 points behind there. And another chance goes missing for Stan Moody. Once again, we've seen 2 of those wasted in the first frame. Let's see if Zhao is going to be able to improve with exactly 50% increase there and only need 1 chance this time around. So, playing the blue nicely into the right middle. So, as I say, he's got a couple of reds that he can try and make his way through. And I feel like he's going to try and do it before clearing the paint. Although, just as I say it, it clearly feels like he's done enough there to be returning the paint back on his spot. That has gone quite close to the right corner pocket. So, then play the ping into the right. And then maybe get that cue ball towards the red, closest to the black. Which you can see there with the reaction of Stan Moody. He's pretty much surprised there, but it was always going to be one of those shots that, you know, Zhao has to play if he's to try and win this frame. And it's going to be quite a difficult one. As I say, he doesn't have loads of the angle to try and work with. Playing this shot super well. He's compromised himself on the black though. And that's going to be another recovery shot needed. But he's played this one just about as well as he could have. Getting that red to be played with power wasn't easy. And getting himself on the black, albeit with a touch more of the angle than he would have wanted. And once again, look at that confidence, playing the black with all the power. Getting himself, I was going to say getting himself lined up on the reds, but I can't really see it. Oh, he's looking at the plant. I'll tell you what, this is not a gimme at all. The plant is looking towards the right jaw of the pocket anyway. And also, there seems to be a bit of distance. Look at that correction. Brilliant there. Textbook stuff from Zhao. Corrects it straight into the middle of the pocket. And tells me, eat your words, mate. You're not going to be doubting me here. You've done it in the World Championship. That's turned very much against you. And don't be doing this, especially after what you've seen I can do at the World Grand Prix and the Players' Championship. And I just have to say, I agree to every single word there. Seems to be the man on fire. And if he is to make it 3 on the bounce, I'm very glad that the game is going the right way for me because it's just a great promotion for the guys at the academy, whether you are going to be from China, especially from China, of course, but from anyone in the world. Make sure you play this game in the right way, and if you exploit it, yes, you need a bit of talent, and also you're going to have shots like that, where it does go wrong for Zhao, but you should have just about enough of the angle on this red to try and roll it into the left corner, although, as I say, it could have been easier for him to try and inspire to be someone like Zhao. Played this one very much close to missing the jaw and just about rolls this one in, but just about is not really going to do it. He's underrun for the blue, which means he needs to take the more difficult paint, and a very important part of the frame because I feel like, you know, Stan Moody had a similar chance wasted. Let's see if Zhao is going to respond with the same type of mistake. For now, he takes the paint nicely. He's got a bit of a concerned look though on his face in relation to the next red that he's about to take. So then, 36 points advantage, 59 at the table so far once again. Textbook from Zhao, able to get through to the red, which I mentioned. And now gets it down to 51 points remaining. So 3 reds. Seems to have underplayed for the black slightly, so unless it's going to be a double, I can't read. Well, I mean, he may be able to pot the top of the 2 reds, you know. I'm not sure about that. I mean, he's looking to try and find the angle for the topspin, but I can save you some time. You know, you can always see that better from the camera view. I feel like you're not going to be able to find it here. So your best chance is, if you're unable to play those 2 reds, either one of them, into the left corner, your best chance has to try and develop the red off the side cushion. And he certainly didn't need me to tell him that. Brilliant shot once again. And despite not being straight on this red at all, he gave himself a chance, and this red can still be played into the left middle, which of course is now going to be a frame ball waiting to disappear, and I don't know why, but I've got a very good feeling that this is going to be now a straightforward frame ball, and it certainly was. Zhao, 2 breaks, 2 frame wins now. Not quite confirmed. Stan Moody, will be coming back to the table. If it is only 1 snooker for him to try and find. And Zhao takes the yellow. He's going to, well, probably find himself snookering behind the black. But as I say, he's got 2 reds to try and aim at. And for now, as I say, it is going to be 1 snooker to sight. And another fantastic break of 50 plus points. Probably more impressive than the previous break of 83 points. And now it is going to be Zhao to try and find himself out of this position by playing the cue ball to the top part of the table. And once again, 220 people on the second frame of the second round. Super impressive. Thank you very much for everyone tuning in. By the way, the cue ball may be joining the stream as well because it's about to leave the table. Or just about stays away from dropping it into the left corner. And of course, that would have been a bit of a disaster for Zhao because he's only 4 points safe. And those 4 points became a millimeter for a second because I joke you not when I tell you this cue ball is only just millimeter away from being dropped. Of course, he would be respotted if he was to drop right now. And Stan Moody senses a little bit of a frustration. And it looks like it is now going to be frame conceded from Stan Moody's point of view. He tried to just basically get that red to be cross-doubled. Didn't really work out. And now the same red is going to be potted into the green pocket, no problem. So Stan is going to be smiling about this one, but I'll tell you what, you can't really be smiling and not delivering, it would seem. Zhao has got another great opportunity to try and progress through to the third round. As far as I'm aware, certainly this season, it will be the first time where that was the case after his second round loss to Jack Lisowski in the English Open. Because lost out to Jordan Brown in the first round of the Northern Ireland Open. And Joe O'Connor was very much the player that he couldn't beat at the Scottish Open as well. He's not going to be able to get the red in, but that's not going to matter at all. Although it might. Stan Moody is looking to come back to the table, although I'm not sure if it's going to be for the bathroom break. And the fact that the players in behind Zhao are going to be, the fans, are going to be applauding is certainly going to be a sign that it was purely for the bathroom break. And it's now Zhao that leads by 2 frames to 0. Perfect start for the world champion. Horrible start for Stan Moody, but once again, you could expect that. You could see that one coming. Liam Pullen has taken the first frame against Jack Under, by the way. So another England versus China match. And Zhang seems to have found his gear in the second frame, though, as has David Gilbert. Very much on the break of 71 points for each of those players in terms of the total points tally. And break is going to be 47 there for Gilbert and 60 points from Zhang's point of view. By the way, Gary Wilson finds himself in trouble. He's now 2-0 down to Sam Craig, although he is currently on the break of 38 points. So still looking to try and make it his frame for the taking there in the third. So I had 2 frames to be finished there. Obviously, I had just finished the second frame of Stan Moody against Zhao. And it's now going to be all about the frame number 3, where it's all or nothing at this stage, really, for Stan Moody. Because if he's not able to win the third frame, then there's not going to be a lot for him to try and catch in the remainder of the match. Because if you're 3-0 down, I know there's been a bit of a consistency issue with Zhao, but surely, not when he's playing like that, you wouldn't expect him to be losing 4 frames, I should say, on the bounce. So let me just try to do the translation thing that I was talking about previously. So if I pop out the chat and yeah, just make this one in here. Let's see if it is now going to be. So if anyone, by the way, if you want to help me out to test this thing, if you can type the message in the chat, any message, as long as it's not going to be the one in English. And to be fair, don't bother, because I can see that it's not working, so I'll have to sort it out later on. It was always going to work out first time though, but I feel like I always feel a bit weird blocking the messages from other languages just because I don't understand them, because it still could be a brilliant question or a brilliant point there, which is going to be At least I'm not sure if you're trying to help me out or you're just wondering what the hell I'm actually doing there. But thank you in either case. And yeah, I'm going to have to sort this one out in private. I always was looking forward to try and do this right here, right now. It's not going to happen. And Jousington is about to come back to the table. And yeah, apologies if I confused anyone. About to start the third frame. And Jousington is going to be the player to break off. Remember, he has gone quite horribly wrong for Stan Moody on the previous time that was the case. And he gifted the opening chance away for Jousington. So then, it is now going to be Stan Moody to get himself back to the table. Safety success, 29% there. I was about to say I could play better than that, but then I remembered that I'm not quite a professional, and if I was playing, I probably would have 1% of a safety play next to my name. Pot success, 78%. Seriously speaking though, Stan Moody needs to make sure he gets that safety play sorted, because safety is going to be a direct correlation of you trying to have those chances. And of course, when you've got a pot success of 78% in comparison to your opponent, 94%, it's a bit of an issue there. Table time still in favour of Jousington, and it's going to get even worse for Stan Moody now, because another brilliant long red, and look at that for a position that cue ball could not have travelled anywhere nicer on this blue, and now he's going to be lined up for pretty much, well, part 3 there, of another great chance to try and go on a break hunt here. Takes the blue into the middle pocket. Now he's about to get himself lined up in behind this red to be taken. Well, he's got an option now, once again, something that he didn't really have in the previous couple of frames, but this is why, when you win those frames, it's only going to get better from you from that point onwards, because he felt like the second frame was all or nothing there, realistically, for Stan Moody, and yes, you could see Jousington could still miss an easy red here, and Moody could win this frame, technically, but it's an if. Otherwise, you know, if it's 1-0 coming into this frame, it's very much 50-50. But because it's a 2-0 advantage, Jousington could afford to lose this frame now, and he still probably wouldn't, because of how much of a rhythm and the points and the table time that he had in the previous couple of frames, and also the lack of that we've seen from Stan Moody's point of view. Now, having a look, just to make sure that this red is going to go past the black, the only thing that, you know, I can sort of wonder that he's looking at, apart from that, it should be very steady for him to be taking this red and using the other red as the breaking point for the cue ball. Stuns that one nicely, and he's about to take the black into the left corner as well. And drops the cue ball for the red to be taken along the black ball cushion. So now 20 and 2-0. Very much going to be the advantage there for Jousington. And yeah, you probably would expect this one to go very much the opposite of the way that the first frame, the first match I should say, are finished. By the way, look at that confidence. I mean, you could not have played that red any closer to the jaw of the pocket, which is deadly, especially on the Home Nation series that we've seen previously, and in the first couple of rounds here as well. Although he has underrun for the black, he's missed those ones before, but not this time around. Brilliant there from Jousington. Zhao will win the Welsh Championship. Well, 75% of people think so. I'm still going to be the stubborn man that I am and stick with very much Mark Williams to try and win it. But I have to say, I put Robertson in there just because he's the world number 3. I've got absolutely no belief that either Neil Robertson or Karen Wilson will win this tournament. That is going to go on the clip, by the way, if either of them do. But I just have a bit of a feeling. I don't know what it is. It usually gets me wrong, but sometimes it gets me very much to be the genius that I'm not. And Mark Williams could still be a really good shout if he wins the tournament, obviously. But if he gets himself really far down the list, although he's going to have a bit of a tough draw, and I should have taken that into account, Barry Hawkins and either Jack Jones and Neil Robertson in the quarterfinals is going to be far from an ideal matchup. But he needs to get there first. And for now, it's Jousington that he's certainly getting to get himself into a chance here of having a 3-0 lead, 41 points now advantage. Oh, I'll tell you what, if 200 people are turning up for the second round match, I might have to change the plans and do the third round, if it is going to be Jousington to find 1.5 more frame wins. As I say, I'm not going to give this you as a guarantee. I'll probably have the answer for you by the point that I do Barry Hawkins against Mark Williams. But if I don't, we'll just get the scoreboard up and running, something that we've done last week on Thursday with Jot Trump and Mark Williams, which is not ideal, but it's better than nothing. And And yeah, now enough of that. We're going to focus on this brilliant break there that so far is going to be having 47 points scored by Zhao involved. Not too many of those difficult reds that he's taken, as I said at the start of this break. You know, majority of them at the start were easy. He didn't really go into the bunch too many times. In fact, he probably has done that once on the first shot. Got himself a couple more of those reds, and that allowed him to be taking 48 points. As far as I can see, he's got one more red available, but it's a very important red, which, if he plays the positional shot on the cue ball with the previous time, very much the way that it should be played, he should have a chance to get all the other reds very much out of the way. He's played a different shot there, which is surprising. Certainly not going to be criticizing him for the pack split, which very much, you know, criticizing Ben Stiller for acting. And yeah, he's going to have to try and play safety shot here. 55 points. It's still going to be a very good break, and he continues to be delivering 50 plus breaks in every single one of those frames. Managed to win the previous two. Now gets himself a very healthy advantage, especially with that safety success being 25% for Stan Moody. It is now going to be another battle that he can try and win. And from that point onwards, it could still be a really good chance for him to make another break of 50 plus points before ultimately taking out the frame win. Good shot though from Moody, would like. And that cue ball is going to drift perfectly wide of the yellow, just about making sure it's not going to touch it on the side. And that was very much the difference in between leaving out a long range, which right now Zhao seems like a really good chance. And well, leaving Zhao to be taking one of those raids, which actually would have been one of the good points, away from the right side cushion. And he's played a bad shot there, got slightly fortunate. And I say slightly fortunate, he probably got slightly fortunate twice there, because the red that he's played with a cross double got super close to the right corner, and the cue ball in the end drifted all the way in behind the brown, and it's now going to be a 55 points advantage. And by the way, I mean, still, I cannot believe that we've got 250 people watching on the second round. Thank you very much for everyone tuning in, and very much appreciate the support. It's very nice, by the way, to be seeing that so many snooker fans actually share this view of me, just seeing that Zhao is certainly going to be the player that can potentially try and carry the sport to the grade that we thought someone like Luca Brissell might. Still a long way for him to go, but if he manages to have campaigns like that, and if he avoids the shot that Stan Moody has played, once again getting that safety success to be down even more, and leaving out a rest shot here to be taken into the right corner. Plays it nicely, got a nice little spin on the cue ball as well to get himself lined up for the black. And now 210 points, only 20 there scored by Stan Moody. It was always going to be a different matchup, but I did have a feeling, it was going to be a lot closer than this. Because I thought Stan Moody was going to be able to be a real threat there to Zhao, and well, he may be now. That's a really bad miss from Zhao. I mean, it was a semi-difficult black, but it was only himself that made it difficult. And now, 6 reds are available, the black is off his spot, but Stan Moody's not going to get a better chance than that for him to try and find himself only one frame away from the world champion. He's now 75 points. He's got 75 points available. He's 56 points down, so this is doable. Last pot time, 16 minutes. And I'd say the last meaningful pot time never in this match. Maybe the first break that he had, scoring 6 points. Yeah, he seems to be struggling there. I can tell you that for free because he had a straightforward transition to the blue. He barely got himself lined up for the blue into the yellow pocket now. Having to play it with a rest shot certainly wouldn't help. And now he's going to be forced to try and get another red to be taken into the right corner. So, yeah, just having a look to see if this one is going to be heading right down the white. And get himself lined up for the shot of this red to be taken into the right corner. So now he got himself a break of 6 points, 94% of a pot success. Of course, you know, Stan Moody didn't really miss a lot of those reds or colours. So he's going to be down at 82%. Safety success though, 30%, which is shambles for a professional player. Average shot time, of course, massively influenced by the fact I've been playing those shots with the safety. So this is going to be an important shot, and he's going to miss it. The highest break of 14 points, and once again it is going to be another break of 6 points. The rest shot was difficult. Zhao was watching that on the screen, And Stan Moody may have to be watching the remainder of this frame on the screen, because I tell you what, Zhao needed 2 opportunities in the first frame, he only needed 1 in the second frame, and he's about to take the third one surely now to make sure it is going to be a 3-0 gap. He only needs a red and a black, and well, he needs 2 reds really, and the black, and at that point he will need 2 snookers there, Stan Moody. So once again, you know, that's the problem with those matches first to 4, especially when you're very much losing there. Sean Murphy will tell you there's not a lot you can do when your opponent is playing well and you're unable to get yourself started with any sort of rhythm and any sort of traction on the wheels. In the end, it's going to be a rest shot nicely taken, just trying to minimize the angle, and the next couple of reds for Zhao to choose from. Now ahead by 58 points with 59 remaining here on the table. So if Zhao takes this one, uses the other red as a bit of a bump for the cue ball, he should play this one for the black. He doesn't really need the black, although I'm surprised how carelessly he's played this red. Clearly not worried about the black at all. As I say, he only needed the red to be fair, and it's now 2 snookers needed for Stan Moody, so he probably doesn't have a real chance to be getting this frame one. Let's see if Zhao is going to be able to get the black in, and he will. So despite not playing the best positional shot previously, he still gets that black in very nicely indeed. And now going to get this red into the right corner as well. So, I mean, we could well see another 300 points or something scored to pretty much none of those from the opposition point of view. Another red disappears. It's not going to be on the colour here. So just looking at maybe taking the pink. Just making sure that he doesn't need those points. 67 points advantage. You can try and do a little bit of a trick shot. And in the end, just try to take the pink into the yellow pocket with a long shot. Really good attempt. Not quite good enough for that pink to stay in the pocket. And it's now going to be certainly good enough for a 3-0 of a gap. Zhao Xingtong is flying through the gears. Stan Moody may only have 1 gear for the remainder of the match. And that 1 gear being the 4th frame there. His last chance to try and stay in the Home Nation Series for slightly longer than he has managed to. As we now get ourselves to potentially the finish line from Zhao Xingtong's point of view. It is now a 3-0 lead that the world champion has. Stan Moody got himself into a now or never situation. We've seen those comebacks very much done before. Probably haven't seen them against Zhao Xingtong playing pretty well. And it does look like it is going to be the end of this campaign. And subscribe to the channel. No, Letitia, thank you very much. I appreciate that, but only going to be doing that for now at the snooker at the final, sorry, the semi-final. I appreciate that though. And yeah, listen, 200 people watching in the second round. I know he's Zhao Xingtong, but fair play. Thank you very much for everyone. You know, that feels like 2,000 watching in the final, because he's still going to be here for the match quality and not for the commentary itself. And appreciate every single one of you, whether you are going to be in the chat or just listening it as your background noise. Thank you very much to every single one of you, and I appreciate Letitia activity in the chat as well. Very much the legend of the chat that has been in there pretty much since the UK Championship. Correct me if I'm wrong, Letitia. I feel like that's been the point where me and you have met. And yeah, I don't know why the match of Ding Zhuhui against Judd Trump rings the bell, because obviously you're very much Team Trump to me. And yeah, that might be it for me, but you may be able to tell me a lot better, because of course you actually know it. And in the meantime, just get you through the other matches. Right then, let's get this one sorted. Sam Craig, he's still got a chance there, you know, against Gary Wilson in the 3rd frame. Gary has got a break of 55 points to get him started on something. And still, Sam Craig has got 83 points available. And same here, Team Trump, there you go. As I say, Trump is not quite going to be playing, but he will be back for the World Open. And I feel like probably at this stage, controversial and probably weird, I want Trump to win the World Championship. I said it now. Obviously, I've got number 1 as Ronnie, but I feel like number 2, Zhao Xingtong is going to be a bit of a boring one to me. Yes, it's weird, as I say, and it's controversial, but it is going to be slightly boring if he does it twice in a row. I want Ronnie to do it. If Ronnie wins it 20 times, it'll never be boring to me for the personal point of view. But I would actually like to see Judd Trump winning the 2nd world title, just because of how much he's managed to win those ranking titles. By the way, 4th frame got underway. Let's see if Zhao Xington is going to get underway with a long red taken into the left corner. Close, not quite close enough. Playing for the black was risky, and he managed to get himself perfectly on the black. Let's see if that is going to allow Stan Moody to be taking the red into the right corner. Moody's too nervous. That's to meet the easy shooting. Yes, but I wouldn't really say he's super nervous because he's just missed another red by an absolute mile. He clearly doesn't seem like he's playing well, and as I say, that's the problem where you've got those matches in 1st to 4 format. You're not really going to have a lot of those invitations for you to get going, and he certainly hasn't managed to do that now. 69% of the pot success there for Stan Moody, 92% for Zhao Xington. May have played a bad safety though, because Stan Moody got away with it previously. Let's see if Zhao Xington managed to get away with this one. I'm not sure he has. He needed cover of the brown. I'm not sure he's got it. That might just be the one last chance for Stan Moody to cue this one well and get the red into the right corner. It's probably more difficult to miss, but just make sure you got enough traction on that cue ball to be heading towards the black. Play this shot super well though. By far the shot of the match that Stan Moody has played. Really nice way for him to get on this black. And one of those chats though, if you are going to be asking for stream links, you are going to be removed. That's not my policy. Tried that in the first couple of streams, got massive warning of YouTube. Not going to do that again. So yeah, you're not going to have any of that here. And also, it feels like a bit of a boring. I know it's, I know it's snooker, it's not football, but I feel like those sort of conversations have been sort of left in 2017, 2018, when people didn't really realize that you can't be doing those on social media. They've got the copyright rights for a reason, and you're not allowed to show those on a public domain. So then back to Stan Moody here, and he's got a similar position to start with to the one that Zhao Xington had in the previous frame, but he probably doesn't have as many of those reds. Of course, Zhao Xington was able to get himself 55 points, as far as I'm aware, after the last black that he's taken. Got himself into a bit of no man's land with those reds, but, he had 55 points, means around 7 reds that he had available to him, if all of them are taken with a black. And right now, Stan Moody looks like he's going to have around... Well, he's going to have 5 more, to be fair. And, he's just played 2 there, so it's not like he's going to have 20 points there to choose from. He's got 15 after taking another good bank into the left middle. So now having a look. Potentially taking the red into the left middle as the referee just tries to get this pink sorted. And then we should be back underway. Stan got himself lined up very much close to the right side cushion, but because of the angle that he's got positioned on this red, it should still be very much not a problem for him to be taking the pot, because it's the favourable angle, which I always call it. You very rarely see the misses come from this position, and you probably have to get it horribly wrong and miss it by a mile. And then also the natural way that the cue was going to be heading across and towards the blue. Just needs to make sure that he avoids the contact on the blue, because it does look like the spin is going to be getting that cue ball towards the blue. That was exactly the case, just about. As I say, a couple of millimeters close to the blue, and he could have been horribly wrong. And to be fair, I'm not going to say he's going to be brilliant there from Stan Moody's point of view. He's still got a pretty difficult shot to try and play here. He's got the brown to be taken into the green pocket, which is pretty straight. Then he's got the green, which is not quite going to be straight, but still, he's not going to get that cue ball perfectly across, although the spin might. Brilliant shot there by Stan Moody. If he's able to get this red past the black, which, that's his tight. I don't really understand what he was playing for then, if that doesn't go. He's playing for the red closer to the paint, but I'll tell you what, this is not an easy cut. And he needs to play with power. And he's played with power. He got the red in, but he's still not going to be on the collar, apart from him taking the blue. This is going to be quite a big test there for him to try and stay in this match. And once again, I feel like there's another mistake coming. Very much, soon there from Moody's camp. And he may well be on this blue. Although he won't be on the blue. Taken really nicely there. And those are the shots that, as I say, if he played them in the second frame, it could well have been the chance for him to try and get it back to square one each. And then just, try and follow the scenario of Fang Junyin yesterday, apart from doing a bit better in the decider. Instead, even if he wins this frame, which is still quite far away from, deal done and dusted, he's going to have a very difficult shout for him to be the real deal and forcing that decider that I talked about. Although 3-1 is always better than 4-0. Now he's 26 points in this break, which doubles the points tally that he scored in the previous 3 frames. Now doing that of a single break, playing a shot of the black, and if he gets that red to slow down before it reaches the blue ball line, he's just played a brilliant pat split as well. And it's certainly going to be the case for him to, try and use this now as a chance. Maybe have Zhao to be on his toes slightly more on the next couple of frames, because, he missed that red with a long shot. For now, he was a very much 3-0 lead, very comfortable. Stan Moody playing some bad snooker at times as well, certainly helps. And all of a sudden, now it's 3-1. He's advantage Moody in the short-term game. And you could try and turn this match around, because that's the way that the whole reason for me that the first 4 matches are being played is for something like that. 3-0 is not going to be the same as 4-0 of a deficit. And if you find your form, if the player before you was able to win 3 frames against you, then it says that you can't do it. Take a bit of that advantage into the last frame, and then, it's anyone's game for the taking. But now, as I say, Stan Moody needs to be making his way through this paint, needs the cue ball to slow down, and he's not going to do so. Well, I mean, it's probably not quite as bad as it looks if the black goes into the right corner, which I need to double check there. I feel like the black will go, but it's going to be difficult to try and hold that cue ball. And if anything, he may have a better chance to be playing for the pink around the black and the majority of those reds. And, the referee doesn't really help, because he's trying to get the pink in between those reds, which of course is not going to make it playable. So this is now going to be probably black or nothing, because I feel like if you try and hit the shot with the rest, and you try and force the cue ball to go around the black and finish up on the blue, that is going to be super difficult for you to try and execute that shot. As far as, still needing to be on the top side of the blue, because he's still going to need a couple of reds after that. So for now, an important shot coming up. He's tried to hold it for the black. I feel like it's a mistake. It was always going to be a mistake. I don't understand why he was playing that shot. He was nowhere near to be on the black. He's going to be perfectly on the top part of the black. And listen, the problem with those shots is you don't really understand how difficult it is for the player to do that, because you take all that power away from the cue ball, which makes the spin pretty much impossible for you to perform. Mark Williams said the cushions have been pacey. That was the problem for him to adjust against Martin O'Donnell. You need to be taking that into account as well. And even if you play that shot without needing to justify the pace of the cue ball perfectly, it still was such a tight channel for him to be trying to get that cue ball across. I just feel like, yes, I understand the point of, it's difficult for you to try and play for the blue, but that probably was the only shot that he could play. There probably wasn't really a case to be playing around the black because of the red being, blocking the angle. So you have to try and take that take the blue. And otherwise, you're always going to be ending up on the wrong side of the black. And that's exactly what happened. But it's still a break of 41 points. I mean, make no mistake about it. It's better than, heading home right now. Handshake with Zhao Xington. Xington through to the 3rd round. And Stan Moody very much on the verge of, being down the lower end of the top 64 players. Look at that for a shot. Super lucky there from Zhao Xington off the cannon of the yellow. The cue ball had a nice line anyway, but he certainly had that line improved by a bit. And the cue ball is now going to be trying to find a space for it to go in between the green and the blue. And try and hit that cue ball to be touching the top red probably. Make sure that you hit it straight into the pink. And that cue ball needs to be quite close to the cushion. It's not going to be. And Zhao Xington is going to get another chance. Although, I mean, the kiss that he got on the brown might have actually saved him a little bit. Because this is not a gimme there. Zhao Xington missed the previous long red. Once again, before that break, he certainly would have said that this one is going to go in. Maybe a bit of table time for Stan Moody would have, made Zhao Xington be a bit more rusty, though he won't for this shot. Brilliantly taken. A bit of the brush of the black. didn't help his cause because he just compromised the black and another red. But ultimately, it's all going to be down to the position of the yellow. He's going to get it. But does he have the position for the red to be taken next down the road? Lompotic says 80% there from Zhao. So try and take this yellow. When I say take, this needs to be rattled in. And he has been. The green is going to be off its spot, which doesn't really help Zhao Ziton either, because he's going to be the one trying to play catch-up. And it's a decent effort there, trying to use loads of topspin on the cue ball. And he's probably going to get himself into another long shot race here. And, oh, he got nowhere near that. And he's probably gifted a frame away for Stan Moody. Although, as I say, the pink and the black are out of position. So it's now 38 points advantage that he's got to try and hold there. Absolutely reverse numbers when it comes to points remaining. So 83. And you feel like from this perspective, he's going to get a decent chance to try and play for the blue. But if he doesn't, then he doesn't really have anything else to play for, because the yellow is not going to get him down the table unless he plays his shot with the almighty power, which is going to be quite challenging. And then the brown may be the better option as well, apart from the yellow. Just about gets himself close to the blue. And of course the point that I was making was a bit of irrelevant anyway, because if you don't get yourself lined up on the blue, then surely you're not going to be lined up on the bold colours anyway. So that was a waste of your time. Anyway, he was able to get lined up nicely on the blue, and 44 points now is going to be the advantage. I mean, you're not going to get a better invitation against Zhao Xingtong to try and get a frame on the board from Moody's point of view. So just try and get a bit of rhythm going, maybe test a little bit of things when you get this frame over the board. Don't test it now, because you're just going to be tasting the patience of Zhao Xingtong, very much the patience of his own fans that would still have a bit of belief that he could be the player to try and stop this winning machine. And of course, I haven't done the revision, probably should have, but I do wonder how many matches Zhao Xingtong has gone without a loss, and I may be able to count that. Obviously, Fang Jingyi is going to be 1. Then John Higgins 2. Then it's going to be Mark Allen 3. Probably should do this in between the frames though, because it's still a chance for Stan Moody to be taking this frame away from Zhao Xingtong. Played the no shot on the blue, using this side cushion to full advantage. Now getting himself a break of 50 advantage of points of 51 there. 59 at the table, so it's now very much the colour, and the next red, which still needs to be the one probably onto the right side cushion, right next to the pink. That's what he's played for. Could have done without so much of a bounce. You know, he could have taken this red down the side cushion instead, but because of how close it is, and how straight, but not too straight it is, this one should be taken, especially with no need to be playing for colours. Still try to hold it for the pink, which, you know, fair play. Making sure that he's going to be able to speed the game up, which very much is another requirement. Now, 57 points is going to be his gap, so 2 snookers needed. Probably wouldn't expect for Zhao Xingtong to be playing on anyway. And the pink stays out, so that could have been taken better. Now, let's see if Zhao is going to come back to the table, or whether he feels like it's not really worth trying to chase this frame. As I say, a bit of a weird miss, because as much as it wasn't by much, it still wasn't really the one that you would expect him to miss, especially to the closer part of that jaw. Probably wouldn't really matter, but you never quite know. And yeah, I'm super surprised with Zhao Xingtong trying to play on from here. I thought he had a chance to try and get through to this red. In the end, he doesn't. And I've just got those reds to be available for Stan Moody to try and put into a worse position. Got the green very much in a problem as well. So let's see what Stan is going to be doing here. I feel like, you know, the chance is there to try and play a shot in behind the black. He's tried to do that with the cue ball. I feel like he's just about going to be unsuccessful this time. But still very much limits the availability there for Zhao Xingtong. Only having the red closest to the right side rail very much available to him. And also, you know, if you try and hold the cue ball back off the right side, there are going to be a couple of those reds in the top part of the D for you to be aware of. And he's tried to just hammer that red home, and it looks like it is now going to be the last shot that he's played. So now we're going to acknowledge the frame conceded there for Stan Moody. And of course, still could be a bit of a clever thing to do, making sure that Stan doesn't get any one of those points scored, because for him, any points will matter. 41 points, sorry, that he scored as his highest break in the previous frame, and has gone from scoring 26 now to 86 points. Could still be an important factor as we approach the 5th frame. Could still be a bit of a nothing job, as Zhao able to utilize that advantage and win this match by 4 frames to 2 or 1. Very much on the horizon. Once again, yes, so thank you for everyone tuning in. Said that now. And yeah, I'm going to say, so the wins that he had, Fang Jingyu, John Higgins, that's 2, Mark Allen 3. Struggling now, I'll be able to just get this on the score sheet. So I shouldn't really be testing myself to that extent. Can't really think of who was he playing in the quarterfinals. May have been Sean Murphy's 6-3 win. Or maybe getting the wrong tournament there. No, I'm getting the right tournament. So Sean Murphy, then Ellis Lester, that makes it 5. Jaganda 6, Salgad on 7, Chris Wakelin 8, Mark Selby 9, and John Higgins to get him started with number 10. John Higgins in the first round doesn't really get a lot tougher than that. Surprising though, that he had to Tom Ford in the German Masters, and then from then on, now has got a 10 match winning streak. And a couple of deciders that he had, the one against Mark Selby 5-4, one against Chris Wakelin 5-4, 6-5 against Ellis Lesser, 6-5 against Mark Allen, and 4-3 against Fang Jingyu. I mean, fair play. Zhao had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 deciders there ever since that loss to Tom Ford in the German Masters, and he's managed to win every single one of them. And based on that, let's have a look when was the last time where he actually lost out to decider. And you don't really have to go too far for that. 6-5 loss in the Masters to John Higgins in the quarterfinal stage. So, well, Higgins, not quite a revenge there, but in the end it looks like, Zhao was able to take that revenge for him. So then, 3-1 advantage for Zhao, still very comfortable, but not quite as comfortable as a 3-0 lead. Sam Craig has taken one of those frames away from his deficit, and he's now leading Gary Wilson by 2 frames to 1. Liam Pullen is about to be doing the same against Jaganda, and Stuart Bingham is down 2 frames to 1 to Stuart Bingham. So very much does look like we are at the start of the 4th frame on pretty much every single one of those matches, and now we're about to start the 5th frame here as well. After a break-off shot from Zhao, he's going to send those reds across the table and keep them on the lower side though, which is important. Now just making sure that it is going to be another chance here for Stan to try and take, well, maybe not the red away, but certainly giving himself into a chance here, and that's certainly the way to do it. I said not quite take a red because I didn't think he's got those available. In the end he finds one, and he's going to be lined up perfectly on the yellow or green to choose from. It is now looking like a lot more of Stan Moody that I expected to see in the first couple of frames. And as I say, as much as it's very nice to be watching him turn up and play good snooker, it may still be a bit too late. Because at this stage, one mistake and you could still be out. Although it's, you have to applaud the fact that he's still in this match. Could have been easy looking at a 4-0 of a loss instead. Guaranteed to be heading 1 frame higher than that, and now about to be getting himself another chance here. And I tell you what, the position doesn't look bad either. Probably not going to have as many reds as in the previous frame, but the way that he's got the opening couple are very much lined up for him. Still going to be a good chance. That black using the entire width of the pocket, and Stan Moody did look like he was a bit worried there. Making sure that he does a bit of, brush off the table there to make sure he's not going to have a loads of fade, which did seem to be the case, to be fair. Another shot that has to be played well. That cue ball is going to be taking a bit of the hint into the main pack of 6 reds, just for him to get it across, and lines up on the black. So now 13 points advantage. So about to take the black into the left corner as well, having a look at the way that the rest of the reds could have been taken into the left corner as well. So about to take this one with topspin, which certainly will help the movement of the cue ball and try and get it closer to those reds. Very much available for both the right corner and the right middle as well. So now 20 points advantage, and I'll tell you what, all of that is going to be adding up. Because he had a 60 points scored in the previous frame without any sort of response from Zhao. Then he had a break of 20 points in this frame. He could be looking at 80 points without answer. And something very much that Zhao prefers to do to his opponents, where he just makes them sit in their chair waiting for a chance that just doesn't really seem to come there. Didn't come in the previous frame. Still no real sign that Zhao will be coming back to the table here. Although there may be now, because it looks like he's about to play a risky shot, which, I mean, before he played it, by the way, I just about wanted to say that I can't really see this one going well, because, you know, when he positions the cue next to the white, you could see that he was going to play this one with little pace, and you can't be playing shot like that with little pace. And he's about to take the long red, and that's going to be a very risky shot for him to be taking on. And look at that. I mean, brilliant. Wow. I mean, that could have been very much the shot for him to make it wrong, but he could not have made it more right. I mean, look at that. How far away the cue ball has been from the red, and yet he's gone straight into the heart of the green pocket. Still lines up nicely on the brown. Well, I'll tell you what, you could swap the face out, and you could say that this is Zhao very much playing here for the way that he's had the opening 3 frames, very much to go his way. And it's now the turn for Stan Moody to be doing that, although he may have used a bit of luck there on the previous shot. It wasn't really luck, it was the brilliant technique that he had to be taking that red into the green pocket, trying to sort of disrupt those reds to be away from each other. In the end, he's going to have the cue ball sticking to the top ones. So it's now going to be a shot into the left middle or nothing. I feel like that's probably the time for you to take the foot off the gas pedal. I know you're very much in the rhythm, but just realise what your situation in the match is. I mean, he's taking the red, he's taking it into the pocket, but he's not going to be lucky with the cannon that he got on the blue. And if I said the previous shot was the time to stop, he can't be hitting a shot like that right now. Just draw all the snooker in behind the yellow, though, I mean, I'm not sure that he's going to be doing that. He's got the angle to bring this cue ball down the table. And I'll tell you what, if he plays the brown here, this is now very much going to be the style of Zhao, because I would expect Zhao to be playing a snooker from here. The cue ball is perfectly on the ball cushion. It's quite closer to the brown in relation to the sort of horizontal position that it is to the green pocket, but still, this brown is going to be super difficult. And I felt like the signs were there. If he misses it, and he missed it. I mean, you can't be playing shot like that, to be fair. With all the respect to Stan Moody, he can't be playing shot like that at all. And this is going to cost him dearly. Yeah, you had no right to be playing that shot at all. I mean, I get the carried away stuff, but that's reckless, that. That's reckless. That's super reckless. I mean, he sent this cue ball to be super close to the right side cushion, but that was borderline on crazy, that. Now then, Zhao still has got a difficult shot of the red to be taken into the left corner. And, well, it's a really thin cut. And I tell you what, as I say, all of those things that he was spending all this time in his chair is going to be adding up there. And, well, if there was a little bit of adding up, you may have to subtract and divide all of that now. Brilliant shot there, executed superbly by Zhao. Now 33 points of a difference in between himself and Stan Moody. And, well, I tell you what, from the previous camera angle, it certainly looked like he was going to have a better chance of potting this black. Looks like he may have to be taking the spot. I thought for a second he was going to play a stage shot. I couldn't believe my eyes there. In the end, he just goes for a spider, but it just tells you how difficult for him to cue this one well. This is probably going to get missed for how difficult it looks now for him. And yet he goes straight into the pocket. Now, where's the cue ball going to be? It needs to be on the reds. And it looked like he was going to be on the red. Then it looked like he's not going to be on the red. Now he's looking at it. The reaction, probably disappointed. So walks away to the opposite side of the table. Still got a red into the middle. Although it's probably going to be borderline on being the same as the brown that Stan Moody has missed. So let's see just how much of it, of the red into the left corner can he actually see. Because as I say, the way that those reds are set up, he could still be with a really good chance of being the frame winner. But I feel like he's had a look at it twice now. He's going to have to come back another day. He does have a rest shot. Once again, I mean, I'm looking for all the options there just because I know very much the style of Zhao. And he's got another rest shot to be taken into the right corner, but this one is probably not quite as difficult as the black that he's just taken, but it's still very much borderline on being just as difficult. And the angle is going to be quite nasty on the cue ball as well. Yeah, could always see this one coming. Ooh, I mean, that's surprising, but it didn't really change the course of that frame. I thought he missed that one. In the end, he caught enough of the jaw for me to be calling this as a miss. In the end, because of how little power there was on the shot, the red has dropped in, but it's not really going to make a difference because right now, even if you're Zhao, you're not going to be playing an attacking shot here. So 25 points in it. Still feel like Stan Moody could have put himself in a lot better position had he played the snooker in behind. Either brown, yellow or green. Instead it is now going to be Zhao to be taking this cue ball away from those reds. And just take the blue. Make sure you're going to keep it into the open play. Because you're actually the one trying to play this frame from behind. It's a bad shot though. The cue ball is going to be nowhere near the ball cushion. And well, I'll tell you what. I don't need the body language of Stan Moody to be telling that he's going to play a shot here into the right corner. Just needs to make sure the outcome is going to be the same as the previous couple. Let's see, it's a long shot once again. He's taken all the power away from it, which makes it more difficult, but the outcome is certainly going to be perfect there. Stan Moody is still not out of this one, and I said that brown was out of order. Well, the rest of the shots that he's played in the 4th and the 5th frames have been really good. And that was a poor shot, by the way, from Zhao point of view, because he could have got that cue ball so much closer to the ball cushion. Instead, it is now, once again, chance for Stan Moody to be playing this shot. Just needs to be aware of the fact that the brown is going to be in the way. And trying to get this cue ball just about far enough the table so he can see this red to be taken into the left corner. In the end, it looked like he just about can't do that. Or can he? Had a look towards the red into the middle. Now a look towards the red into the left corner. So he can certainly take it. Just probably a bit reluctant to be doing that because of, you know, the blue being out of position. So having to play for green or yellow. Green it is going to be. After he takes that red nicely. And, well, you know, he had a huge task on his hands to try and get back from 3-0 down. And he's about to complete half of it. But he probably would have been the easier half, to be fair. Because the first right was always, well, you could always see that one coming. When you've got a 3-0 advantage, you could always just be taking your concentration down slightly. And because of you just having to find one more frame, sometimes it is more difficult for the players to get over the line. But all of these points, as I say, they're all going to be adding up there. And all of a sudden, it's only 100 points of a difference right now as it stands in between total points scored by Moody and Zhao here. So this is still a real threat there, especially if he's able to get himself into a chance for the next frame. Because I said Fang Jingyi was playing catch-up in the match of Zhao, but he was doing that for 1 frame each. Very much back to 3 frames each as well, 3-1 down. And unable to do anything pretty much in the decider. Stan Moody's going to be halfway there because he's just taken the black for Zhao to be dealing snookers in this frame. And how easy the reds are going to be situated. Once again, I mean, you have to give him credit, by the way, with all the slack that I've given him for missing that brown and actually taking that brown on. That red was a very similar shot to the brown, but he actually gave him a chance. And I felt like it was more likely that he was going to pot it then, taking the previous brown on. And once again, I mean, make no mistake about it, if he misses it, and Zhao comes back to the table, probably clears up, and that's match over. Instead, it is a brilliant long shot that he finds really well. Got himself a chance now to be getting 44 points of a break, his highest break in the match. And Zhao is going to have to be going through a bit of a thinking process. That's an impressive comeback. It's halfway there. It's an impressive comeback if he forces the decider. But for how well he's managed to do it, how little time he's taken in between those shots, and well, that's about to complete 5 frames in, well, God knows how little time there's been. But certainly feels like it's not going to be 2 hours just yet, which, especially after the delay of the match has been, well, delayed by 10 minutes or so. 14 seconds there, average shot time on the break. So technically better than Zhao. I know that Zhao managed to do it on 3 frames instead of 2, but still, that is super impressive, the numbers. that we are seeing from Stan Moody. And this is certainly turning into the match that I expected it to be from the get-go. And I actually did expect this one to go the distance and Stan Moody to be just a couple of pots away from making this one. I don't know why I'm getting this out of my head, but that was the case. Let's see if that's going to be the case, though, because I feel like there is a step up needed from Zhao for the first time in this match. And he still very much has got that in him. Just try and utilize the chances, which Stan Moody will certainly leave for you. And, you know, had a couple of those in the previous couple of frames. Wasn't really able to do it. So we're going to have to try and ensure it doesn't happen from here onwards. Because there was a bit of a leeway that you could give to Zhao. You don't have that leeway now. It is now Zhao that leads by 3 frames to 2. But it is Stan Moody very much trying to be on the comeback train. And getting himself just 1 frame away there of bringing it back to square one and forcing a decider against the world champion and very much the man in form. Thank you very much once again. I'm going to be saying that after every single one of those frames just because of how impressive it is to be seeing 200 people to be watching very much from the start there. And yeah, would like you to be subscribing to the channel if you want to. And as I say, I mean, I was looking forward to any bit of snooker, but I was a bit skeptical towards the Welsh Open, especially the first couple of rounds. Certainly delivered. It was really enjoyable for me to be watching the tiptoe match of Michael Holt against Mark Williams. Had some controversial moments, had some dramatic moments as well. And now we've seen the brilliance of Zhao to overcome Fang Jingyi. Can he try and do the same thing against Stan Moody and force himself to be joined in the decider as well? And yeah, of course, if he is to be winning this one, then as I said, it's a 50-50. I'm not sure about the evening session tomorrow, but we are going to have the last 16 matches certainly taking place. No matter what happens, Stan Moody or Zhao will have to battle their way into the last 16, but the likes of Jack Jones, Neil Robertson, Barry Hawkins and Mark Williams certainly managed to get themselves into it. And those are the matches that we are going to be watching. So, yeah, just by the way, on the other tables, Liam Pullen has got a gap of 2 frames to 1 against Zhang Anda. Also has got a 31 points of a break, so 18 points of a difference. Stuart Bingham is still battling away in the 4th frame, which is incredible, really. Stam Craig, even more incredible to me, has got a 3-1 lead against Gary Wilson. I certainly didn't expect Gary to be having any more problems there. I know Stam is a very dangerous player, but I thought that Gary was going to have an answer for all the tricks that he's got in his book so far. Clearly is not the case. And yeah, with Bingham and Gilbert yet to finish the 4th frame, we're about to get the 6th one underway, with Stan Moody being the player to break off. And when he was doing that on the 4th break start, certainly I don't feel like he would have been thinking about doing the same thing here on the frame number 6. Now then, Zhao needs to try and do something about it. Frames 1, 2, 3 there, 75% of a pot success, 12 shots that he's taken with attempt to pot them, 9 that he's made, and 92 from frames 4 and 5. Safety success, 4 out of 4, frames 4 and 5, and 30% in the opening 3 though. Another long shot taken, another long shot missed though by Zhao. This red is going to be skyrocketing towards the position of the cue ball, but it feels like it's going to have way too much space for it. Once again, bit of a weird shot from Zhao because it was never going to be close on the black. And playing that shot with so much power, you never quite know with how, you know, the red is actually going to finish, especially in relation to the cue ball. So just play the whites to the top part of the table. Make sure you don't spread the reds too far away from each other. But as much as it's a bit weird for me to be saying, the best chance for Zhao to try and get over the line from now is, of course, get an easy chance. That's understandable. But try and slow down the game. Once again, it's a bit ridiculous. Stan Moody has been very eager to try and get on with every single shot that he's taken. His average shot time has been lower than Zhao. So I feel like if he gets himself into a bit of a, you know, situation where it feels like all the momentum is going to be taken out of the game, then he's going to be starting to take some risks because he has to. Can't afford to lose another frame. Therefore, his mindset has to be, can't afford to lose another chance that Zhao Xington presents to me. And for now, it is a beautiful safety shot there. And once again, it's a borderline in between a horrible safety and a beautiful safety, because if the cover from the green isn't there, it's the red that you leave over the pocket. With the green being there, it's a shot that Stan Moody has to be rolling the cue ball towards this red. And let's see what he's going to give away for Zhao Xington. The answer, probably not much. Although there might be a red, I'm not sure from this perspective, but there might be a red that he can take to the left middle here from Zhao Xington's point of view. So he had a look towards it. And once again, a 3-0 up. Certainly take that red. At 3-2, probably not so much. And you just have to be taking a safety shot, sending one of those reds towards the left side cushion, and getting that cue ball to be very much at the top part of the table yet again. So Stan Moody's going to have a look at the same red, because if it's not going to be lined up perfectly on the cushion, he may give himself a chance to try and just hit a cross double shot there, get this cue ball to bounce away from this red, and well, just make it to go into the open play really. But that's gone horribly wrong, and that's what he was looking at. And he clearly looked at it wrong, because that red clearly gave a double kiss away to the cue ball, and that compromised the position of the white badly. Last pot time, 8 minutes there, which doesn't seem like a lot, and it's a bit of a weird stat to be bringing up there purely off the time. It's probably the lowest time that I've ever seen shown in the last pot time, but it's now going to be down to 0, and Zhao Xington gets another chance, which he didn't really get in the previous frame, to try and get himself over the line here and win this match by 4 frames to 2. And once again, the thing that I always say about Zhao, especially when he hasn't been at the table playing those breaks, the first couple of shots are going to be super key to tell you whether he's going to be not up for it, but playing good enough snooker for him to be trying to get this one over and done with. For now, of course, still got a potential chance to be looking for the perfect break there. He's manages to take the first 2 reds with the blacks. It's always the start there. Something that the amateur players can always say they've done. And yeah, the red that I mentioned previously that he could have taken with the cue ball being onto the black ball cushion is probably about to be taken here. But this is going to be probably the first real test for how his pot success is going to be. And he manages to pass this one. Plays the shot pretty well. Gets himself lined up for the black to be taken. And yeah, if you take this one into the left corner, you should have the cue ball bounce just about far enough there for another problematic red to be taken away. The reason I say it's problematic is because it's preventing a couple of the other reds to be heading towards the left corner pocket. So the red is going to be taken in the meanwhile. Another black about to disappear into the right corner. So 32 points. It's still going to be a bit of a healthy lead there for Zhao, especially with how little of those points that he scored in the previous couple of frames. So still having a clear-cut chance to try and stay on the black for a couple more of those shots. Let's see if that's going to be the case very much until the frame is going to be won. And at that point, you have to say it is going to be just focusing on the maximum there, not worrying about anything else. For now, he had a bit of an awkward queuing there, trying to place his hand to try and get through to the cue ball. That compromised the angle that he's got on the black now, and therefore, he still needs to be focusing on just trying to get himself over the line in this match. And he's going to have another chance to try and split the reds up. He needs to be playing this one with power, but just about away, controlling the cue ball so he doesn't go straight into the bulk area. And, well, I mean, he's sort of done exactly in between of what I said, because the cue ball has gone beyond the blue ball line, so he does have a difficult red to be taken, but, I mean, I said the previous red was a bit of a test. This is certainly the test. If he takes this one, he's won this match. And he's on the collar, he's won this match, but if he doesn't take this one, Stan Moody is going to be off his chair like a rocket. Now then, it's the moment of truth, and it does look like the moment that goes the way of Zhao Xington. He's taking this red super well, and he's still going to be lined up with a great choice of either brown or green to be taken. Get that cue ball down the table, and you should still have a wonderful chance to be making this break, the one that counts. And once again, this was the reason why I said don't go 3-0, don't go 2-0 down to Zhao Xington, because he's just able to find one of those chances, which at that stage was a half chance. And Sam Moody knows it. You can see he's leaning forward to the way of, having that a bit of a bewildered look on his face, realizing that it'll take a miracle now for Zhao Xington to make a mistake, and therefore it'll take a miracle for him to be coming back to the table without it being the handshake. So 53 points now is the advantage for Zhao Xington, 91 at the table. So it's not, of course, I've just realized that he's not going to be going for a maximum with him taking that brown previously. With how difficult that red was, I actually didn't expect for him to be playing for a colour at all. And just trying to get that cue to the top part of the table, which of course he's done. And then being lined up so well on the brown certainly helped. Now another break of 60 points, but can still see another century break. Selby's not going to score any more of those. I feel like he scored one in the match against, I'm not sure, it was Jay and John I think he was against. In the end, didn't really help him to try and win that decider. Lost out by 4 frames to 3, the defending Welsh Open champion. And as I say, all the finalists really, apart from Joey Long, this season in the Home Nation Series, has already been knocked out. A couple of them in the first round, a couple more in the second round as well. Brilliant shot, by the way, by Zhao Xington, getting those 5 reds to be spreading out and away from the pink as he takes the second most expensive colour into the left corner. Now about to play this red into the left corner as well. And, well, could have been nicer in terms of how close to the draw it was. Frame time, only 8 minutes and a half there. So, probably similar to the last pot time by the time it was shown for Zhao Xington. Once again, it is going to be a decent comeback. Not quite enough, though, to stop the winning machine of Zhao Xington to be heading another, well, round forward there for him. Because it's now going to be the 3rd round appearance for Zhao Xington in the Welsh Open here. As far as I'm aware, that's going to be his, well, best appearance in the Home Nation Series certainly this season, because of a couple of first round losses that he had, and the second round that I've just googled against Ishbin could still try and make it a 140 if he takes the remaining 3 reds with the black, but I feel like the eyes of the fans are certainly going to be on the century break. He manages to make it the second break of 80 plus. Makes it a 90 plus break now. Rolls the pink into the left middle. Doesn't have to worry about the penultimate red though, because it should still try and get himself forced with the angle to be playing this one closer to the pink, to the extent that he's going to force the cue ball to be heading towards the right side cushion. And Stan Moody has been in this position pretty much since the start of this break, where he didn't have any sort of belief they'll be coming back to the table, and he's certainly going to not have that now. A break of 103 points and a chance for Zhao Xington to make it a total clearance as well, to make a fantastic ending from his point of view. He manages to score around 400 points in the 6 frames that he's played, which is a great, it's a great stat for the first to 4 match. Once again, certainly showing that he is the high scoring player, and he's going to be the real deal to try and stop there. And, well, 74% might be onto something, as much as it is the match of probably the supporters of Zhao Xington. It's still going to be a great performance that he's got. Stan Moody was unstoppable in the previous couple of frames. Zhao Xington didn't really help himself on a couple of those occasions, but once again, it probably reflects nicely the scoreline and how the match has gone so far. And now we just wait for the colours to start disappearing. The yellow is gone, the green's gone, the brown and blue are about to join here. The pink is going to be taken with a bit of a trick shot there. Didn't quite pay off. So it is going to be a break of 122 points, and still a lightning performance there from Zhao Xington that gets himself a win against Stan Moody with a 4-2 advantage in the round 2. Stan played pretty well, but he left it a little bit too late for his match against the world champion, and it is Xington that progresses to the round 3. And, well, we'll see you for the round 3 there. Thank you very much for all the activity, certainly. By far more than I expected in the first 2 round matches to be seen. And we'll be seeing more of Zhao Xington. Make no mistake about it. Stay tuned in. The Welsh Open is about to enter the most exciting part of it. And we still have very much the top seeded players left out in the ranking. Stay tuned in. Thanks for watching. And yeah, speak to you soon.